And we're live. Welcome, Laurie. Welcome, Michael. We are here
Thanks.
today and we're going to speak about what is an extraordinary lover. And I would like you to start telling us just a little bit, just a sentence or two about yourselves while I'm going to share the event in a couple of groups.
Okay, that's great. Do you want to introduce me?
Yeah, let me do
Okay.
that. So I love introducing Laurie because she's like one of my favorite topics. So Laurie is Laurie Handlers, and she is an internationally known tantra teacher. She teaches shamanic practices through ISTA, which is the International School of Temple Arts. She's also, a best-selling author. I think it was an international #1 bestseller for her book, Sex and Happiness, the Tantric Laws of Intimacy. And she's also a producer, director, and has starred in 3 of her own feature films and have won amazing awards.
I've won awards and festivals.
In festivals. And so
and
welcome.
My podcast.
And she's a podcaster. She also has Sex and Happiness radio show.
Yeah.
And she's been doing that about a dozen years now. But she's loved all over the world. Anybody who meets her and knows her loves Laurie Handlers, and I do too. So
thank you. And this is my partner, Michael Gibson, who I also love and adore. And Michael is a former network engineer turned sex geek who is now a teacher of sex and happiness. He's a certified coach of sex and happiness. And he is the creator of the course, Extraordinary Lovers. Like, he actually had the courage and the kind of mental acuity to break down what it is that we have between each other and quantify it so we could teach it to other people. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And soon to be published author of 2 books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
The Talk Your Parents Never Gave You, having to do with sex, and the book which we're co-writing, Extraordinary Lovers.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
A lot. So
There's no
speak
boredom here. No boredom.
Exactly. Today we're going to speak about what it is to be an extraordinary lover, and also kind of what got you to understand and to be able to teach what that is. And how do you teach something like that? It's like, because you're teaching something that's so intimate that many people, I think, don't even understand that you can actually learn. So would you speak a little bit about your experience with both, maybe with couples and singles, but I know that right now you're focusing a little bit more on couples and what it is to become in a couple, maybe more than just as a person, an extraordinary lover.
So first, I think we should define extraordinary lover.
Well, it's out of the ordinary.
Yeah, it's definitely not ordinary. Like, we think fighting is ordinary.
Yeah.
We think keeping score on each other is ordinary. We think bad behaving in front of other people, other couples, is very ordinary. We think that I think things my parents did were ordinary. Like, most of the role models that we have, whether it's in the movies or in music or in just the people who grew us up, are ordinary. They're ordinary. And we think extraordinary loving is to produce the chemical oxytocin in each other on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we might have something we disagree about, and then we immediately look at each other and go, how can we return to love as quickly as possible? Produce oxytocin.
Yeah.
Mm.
Just like that. And it's, it isn't like, it's not a game. It's like, really, like, I want to produce oxytocin in this man because, first of all, men are more deficient in oxytocin than women.
That's a
When women have orgasm, like, they can hold on to that oxytocin for 3 weeks. When a man orgasm, he holds on to oxytocin for how long?
3 days.
So men really need oxytocin a lot. Like, they need to feel appreciated and loved. And so I want to appreciate and love him so that he feels oxytocin often.
Yeah, same thing for me. I want to make sure that I'm producing in her oxytocin. It's funny when she says, she catches me on this all the time. She says, when Michael says he loves me, he says, I oxytocin you. And
he does like this. I oxytocin you.
That's true. It's because I want to create that in her body, and that is something that I think we miss out on a lot. I think we tend to think that love is it's just this ethereal spiritual experience, but in reality, love is the feeling you get, the experience you get when oxytocin is released into your body. And there are so many ways to do it. It's so easy, and we just don't. Pets, your dogs or your cats, when you're petting your dog or your cat, they're feeling oxytocin, and guess what? So are you. So sometimes we treat our pets better than we do our beloveds. I don't want to tell on anybody, but sometimes that's how it is. And I think it's probably more important to spend that quality time and that quality touch on someone that you say you love. And so we've come up with some really simple and easy and uncomplicated ways to be able to do that, and to do it on purpose.
Yeah.
So when you speak about exquisite touch, does that have to do with that method? Could you speak a little bit about what that is?
Well, there's a couple of things that I don't think we get taught growing up. I don't know about you. Did your parents give you the talk when you were growing up?
I don't know what talk. What talk?
The sex talk.
Like sex, how to do sex, not just how to.
Right.
I think so. My mom showed me a book when I was a child about how it happened, and then how a child was made. And then I remember I found a condom like under the bed of my parents, and I asked my mom what it was, and she's like, "Do you remember that book?" And I had apparently at 3 years old, I had asked her, "Oh, was it nice?" So I think I got something about nice.
Well, at least mom didn't freak out, right?
I just gave the bell to my mother. That's great.
Yeah.
Most people, they only hear about how to prevent pregnancy and how to prevent sexually transmitted infection.
If they get the talk at all. I mean, in 2017, I did a survey of over 300 men and women, and I asked them, "Hey, did your parents ever give you the talk growing up?" And 70% said no. The 30% that said yes did exactly what Laurie says. They got the talk about how not to get pregnant and how not to catch a disease. And so I said, well, there's got to be more to it than that, Well, that's part of having the ability to touch someone with precision in an exquisite way. Mm-hmm. And so what we teach is how to map out the male and the female body, like what's connected to what. And how do you touch it in a way that it starts to produce all the things that you want to produce in the body? Endorphins, serotonin. Serotonin adds to the orgasmic pleasure. Oxytocin, obviously.
And
Dopamine. All of these things come together in the way that you touch each other to bring about that amazing experience we call exquisite touch.
Now, you could get those chemicals from running, but I prefer to get those chemicals from lovemaking. It's just like a preference.
So I love that side that you're speaking about. You were also speaking before we came here. You're speaking something about the resentment and the revenge, because I want people to understand also the kind of background you have. You have a lot of experience with couples, and you kind of studied what often happens. So maybe can you speak about a little bit like untying some of those patterns that are really destructive that you also work with and that you're also having experience of?
Yeah, we teach people how to prevent what we call the 3 R's, and I actually add a R. So there's 4 R's altogether. Resentment. What's the second one? Resistance and revenge. And then when you have those, you also get a state of righteousness. Like you get right about how mad you are at the other person and how they deserve your revenge. And Michael and I don't believe in fighting. We don't even believe in fair fighting. People have asked us that in the past. Mm-hmm. We were being interviewed by someone, and she said, well, what about fair fighting? And we said, that's ordinary.
That's ordinary.
That is ordinary. Extraordinary means that you nip this before it becomes resentment. You actually we have a system on how we teach people to speak their truth to each other and be heard. And, I feel like what all anybody ever wants in life is to be seen and adored. Like really, I think women want this so much. They want to be loved, seen, and adored, but really seen and heard. Mm-hmm. And I know that men want that. And we don't learn how to listen to each other, especially if our families of origin were fighting and they yelled at each other all the time and people stormed off, or there might have been violence. We don't know. No one, we learn all kinds of things in school: geometry, trigonometry, algebra. I don't use any of those things. I use communication.
Right.
We don't learn that in school. We should be learning that when we're very young, how to get along with other people, really get along with them, not just compete for the highest grades or what have you. So we teach people how to speak, how to set a sacred space, and then inside the sacred space, how to say things that many people would be waiting for the right time. Many people would be, they don't want to rock the boat. No, we teach people to go right for it, be very direct, say what you have to say, but in a format that doesn't hurt the other person. And so, and actually engages them in listening and asking, wow, what else? Is there anything else that you need to tell me? Have you been holding on to anything? So you find out really how to communicate just in the moment or quickly thereafter, so there's no resentment.
Yeah, and it's a simple pathway from conflict back to love. So the important thing for us is that rather than fight our way back to love, I got my position, she's got hers. Rather than that, what we do is we actually get each other's worlds. Like she said, I want to be seen. Well, I want to see. I want to be known, and I want to know. And so rather than having to fight our way back, through our positions, and I've got your position, no, what we do is we actually work our way back to love. And that's the goal of it. So the purpose, what's extraordinary about that is that we can do it in a moment. It doesn't take hours. We don't have to be angry with each other for weeks or days or minutes even. We can sort it out right then and there, get clear, and then return back to love. So I think it's probably, that's what's so extraordinary about it.
Mm-hmm. And I've been in relationships where all we did was fight. I mean, I'm sure everybody who would listen to this they'll have experience with what it is to fight it out, and then come into some kind of terrible toleration of each other. And we think that's ordinary, very ordinary.
Yeah, and I think we all recognize those R's. Even if you didn't have all of them, you kind of you had a little bits of them. And that's kind of the right way down in a relationship. So just by listening to you today, I feel like I'm inspired to kind of, start to really think about these things. And also the oxytocin, because you are working with intimacy and sexuality. So it's not the same thing as petting a dog. It's going to be, what you teach is more juicy. And I know that if people are more than inspired to kind of go out and do it, you are also now doing things online. So you have a 2-day course that is called Extraordinary Lover. So could you tell us a little bit about that, and how, if you really want to be an expert like you are, how does that work and when is it?
That's great. I love that you asked that too, because we have the program, and then we have things after the program where people can become instructors and coaches of this. We have a mastermind. So tell a little bit about the 2-day program, since you created it.
Thank you. The 2-day program, it's an experience. That's why we call it the Extraordinary Lovers Experience. Because what we do is we guide you through the 3 thresholds of expressive love. The first one to be extraordinary at is self-love. You really got to love yourself. And knowing how to do that is crucial to be able to love another. I mean, it's sort of like, I don't quote the Bible very much, but there's this one part that says, love your neighbor as yourself, right? And some people should probably not love anybody the way they love themselves. If you get what I mean?
They don't love themselves enough.
They don't.
They don't have enough self-esteem to really love themselves. And so they shouldn't love their neighbor or anyone else like that.
They should love themselves. And so that's the first part of this. And then we move from there to having an experience of what it means to really love myself. And then we move into the next part, which is partner love, loving another. And then finally, we take all of that juiciness, that goodness that we've got, and then we show you how to use that love to manifest whatever it is you need or want in your life. And we call that love that manifests. So it's a really important, it's an important experience, I think, to have. And then we deepen it beyond that. So.
And these are things that we did not learn. I didn't learn them from anybody. I had to do the trial and error method for my whole life. It just, I think back and go, I wish I knew this some other life, but I didn't. Manifested with Michael and myself, and then we said, how do we do this? Break it down. Let's look at how we're doing this. And so that's how this came into being. I want to say, and with couples, first of all, we think that couples are endangered species. They should be on the endangered species list. That's one. Two, we don't discriminate if you're monogamous, monogamish, if you're
full poly,
if you're open. We don't care about whatever choice you're making, in that we just know that each time you relate to one, there's a dynamic. And this dynamic can be used in all those situations. And we work with singles as well. We're just going to have separate weekends. We're going to have like a weekend for couples, and then a little later we'll do one for singles as well, so that when they get into their next situation where they're relating to another human being, they can bring these things right in and start from the beginning, knowing how to relate and how to come back to love.
Yeah.
Because clearly I've taught him some things, he's taught me some things, and we surrendered to each other. We said, wow, this is wise, let's do this. And we just kept surrendering and coming back to love, rather than taking a position. I'm right, you're wrong. We've done that enough. I mean, I've certainly done that enough. I don't want to do that anymore. So the weekend we have coming up is July 11th and 12th.
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, July 11th and 12th. It's online, and people can join us through Zoom to be online, and let's give them the link.
And we've done something special for you and for your viewers, because we want to make sure that they have the price we've kept low as possible because of what's happening economically in the world today and everything else. But what we did is we put together a discount code for your listeners and for your viewers. And so what they can do is they can go to online.extraordinarylovers.com. And if they use your code, which is connection, just one word, connection, they'll get $25 off the tuition. And so again, that's July 11th and 12th. And it is online.extraordinarylovers.com. Use the keyword or use the discount code connection.
Yeah, and that's what Bella has opened up for all of you. And Bella, we totally appreciate it. And look, we're trying to shift the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you told me this last night or something. I was like, let's speak about it, because for me, it's so important. It's so important to do it. And I actually love that it's online. And I know there are couples out there that don't want to go to those Tantra workshops because it feels like, what do people do there? But when you can do it at home, it's like, that's why I actually love it even more, that we are reaching couples and people that usually might not have had even the possibility to travel because of kids and other things. So it's so accessible just from your home, and it's just only 2 days. And I know how much value you put in it in whatever you do. So in 2 days, people are going to learn so much. And also Tantra Connection is also all about reconnecting to yourself, reconnecting to your couple, reconnecting to your body. And all these ingredients are in the things that you teach. So for me to speak about it here is just really a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
We love you.
Yeah, we love you, and we welcome anyone who wants to join us for those times. There'll be breaks, by the way. It's not just straight all the way.
You can feed yourself.
Scare people now. It's like intense 24/7 for 2 days. No.
There's time to eat and there's time to sleep.
Yep.
And depending upon where you are in the world, it may not be lunchtime when we break for lunch, but so what? We've had people everywhere from Australia to Hawaii on at the same time. So that's like way different time zones, and then everything in between. So if you want to come and get it, we would love to have you. We would really, really love to have you. We want you to be extraordinary in love.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.